My mother always said military service was for people who couldn't do better. My father called it a waste of potential. My brother smirked and said girls don't belong in combat. None of them knew that while they were busy dismissing my choices, I was becoming one of the youngest colonels in U.S. Air Force history. The annual Morrison family dinner was in full swing, crystal glasses clinking as my relatives celebrated my brother Michael's latest promotion at Anderson Global, where my father was a senior vice president. The dining room of my parents' suburban mansion echoed with practiced laughs and polite applause as Michael detailed his rise through the corporate ranks. Junior VP of Operations by 30, my father announced proudly, raising his glass. Now that's the Morrison way. I sat quietly, pushing food around my plate, remembering all the times he told me I was destroying the family legacy by choosing military service over corporate success. 10 years of achievements, promotions, and decorated service. Yet in this room, I was still just the disappointment who couldn't cut it in the real world. And what about you, Sarah? Aunt Patricia's voice dripped with false concern. Still playing soldier? I met her gaze steadily. I'm still serving, yes. My mother jumped in quickly as if my career needed justification. Sarah's doing administrative work now. Something with computers, isn't it, dear? By something with computers, she meant leading the Air Force's most advanced cybersecurity division and overseeing a team of over 300 personnel. Then sure. But they didn't have clearance to know that, and I'd long since stopped trying to explain. Such a shame, my Uncle Robert sighed. With your education you could have had a real career by now. Making real money like Michael. Michael raised his glass again, grinning. Hey, it's not too late, sis. I could probably get you an entry-level position in my department. You know, something more suitable for a woman. The table erupted in knowing chuckles. I gripped my water glass tighter, thinking about the classified briefing I'd given to the Joint Chiefs just last week. About the presidential commendation sitting in my office. About the operation I'd be leading tomorrow that would make headlines, not that I could ever take credit for it. Sarah just needs to accept that some people aren't cut out for the corporate world, my father said, his voice carrying that familiar note of disappointment. The military is, well, it's a perfectly respectable fallback option. Fallback option. I almost laughed. They had no idea that Anderson Global, my father's precious company, had desperately been trying to secure a contract with my division for months. A contract that I would be reviewing tomorrow morning. I heard they're letting women be officers now, my cousin Emma chimed in. Maybe you could try for a promotion, Sarah. Aim for sergeant or whatever comes next. I bit back the urge to correct her obvious ignorance about military ranks. Let them think what they wanted. Tomorrow would be interesting enough. Actually, my mother added, brightening suddenly, Sarah's friend James just started his own tech company. He's single, you know. Maybe it's time to think about settling down, dear. Find a nice man who can take care of you. James. I suppressed a smile. They meant Major General James Harrison, my direct superior, and certainly not single, unless you counted his recent divorce from his husband. The same James who would be walking into Anderson Global's board meeting tomorrow morning. I'm focused on my career right now, I said simply. My father scoffed. What career? Pushing papers in some military office? You had such potential, Sarah. You could have been something. I stood up slowly, placing my napkin beside my plate. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. Of course, Michael smirked. Wouldn't want to be late for roll call. As I walked to the door, my father's voice followed me. One day you'll realize what you've thrown away, Sarah. The Morrison name used to mean something in this city. If only they knew that tomorrow the Morrison name would mean something very different. In my car, I pulled out my secure phone and dialed a familiar number. Everything set for tomorrow, Major? Yes, Colonel, came the crisp reply. Operations a go at 0900 hours. Anderson Global's board won't know what hit them. I smiled, thinking of my father's face when he realized who really held the power in tomorrow's meeting. Excellent. Make sure all the paperwork is in order. I want this by the book. Of course, ma'am. Though I still think you should have told them. I watched the lights of my parents' house fade in my rearview mirror. They'll find out soon enough. Back in my apartment, not the modest military housing my family imagined, but a penthouse overlooking the city, I reviewed the files for tomorrow one last time. Anderson Global's cybersecurity systems were outdated, vulnerable. They needed our contract desperately, though they didn't know just how desperately yet. My phone buzzed with a text from Michael. Seriously, sis, think about that entry-level position. Better than wasting your life playing soldier. I set the phone aside and opened my laptop, pulling up the classified intelligence report that would rock Anderson Global's board meeting tomorrow. Sometimes the best revenge isn't telling people they're wrong, it's letting them figure it out for themselves. I opened my closet, pushing aside the casual clothes to reveal my dress uniform, metals gleaming in the soft light. Tomorrow I wouldn't be Sarah Morrison, the family disappointment. I would be Colonel Sarah Morrison, commanding officer of the Air Force's Cyber Operations Command, and the person holding Anderson Global's future in my hands. My father always said the Morrison name meant something in this city. Tomorrow he'd learn just how right he was, just not in the way he expected. I picked up a framed photo from my desk, me at 18, standing proud in my Air Force Academy uniform while my family looked on with barely concealed disapproval. 10 years, countless missions and 3 promotions later, I was about to show them exactly what their fallback option had become. The next morning I arrived at Anderson Global's headquarters an hour before the board meeting. My dress uniform was pristine, medals and insignia perfectly placed. The security guard at the desk did a double take when he saw my credentials. "Colonel Morrison? Are you related to?" "Yes," I said simply. "I'm the VP's daughter." He straightened immediately, catching sight of my rank insignia. "Ma'am, Major General Harrison is waiting for you in the executive conference room." I took the private elevator to the top floor, remembering all the times I'd visited my father's office as a child. Back then this building had seemed like a temple of success. Now it was just another stop in my mission. James was waiting, his own uniform commanding instant respect. "Ready for this, Colonel?" "Born ready, sir," I replied, reviewing the classified documents one last time. The board members began filing in at 8:45. My father entered last, deep in conversation with Michael. Neither of them noticed me standing in the corner, partially hidden by a large display screen. "Let's get started," my father announced, taking his seat at the head of the table. "As you know, we're here to discuss the military cybersecurity contract. Our technical team has prepared." "Actually," James interrupted, standing up, "I'll be leading this meeting." He gestured to me. "Colonel, if you would." I stepped into view. The blood drained from my father's face. Michael's smug smile vanished. The other board members looked confused, glancing between me and my father. "Good morning," I said, my voice carrying the authority of command. "I'm Colonel Sarah Morrison, commanding officer of the Air Force Cyber Operations Command. We're here to discuss serious vulnerabilities in your network security." "Sarah," my father sputtered. "What is this?" I clicked a button, bringing up the classified report on the screen. 3 months ago, our team detected multiple breach attempts on your systems. Foreign actors targeting your infrastructure, client data, and proprietary technology. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Michael was staring at my medals as if seeing me for the first time. "Your current security protocols are..." I paused, letting them squirm. "Inadequate. The contract you're seeking isn't just about business. It's about national security." I advanced to the next slide, showing exactly how vulnerable their systems were. Several board members gasped. My father's face had turned ashen. "Colonel Morrison," one board member spoke up, "what are our options?" My father tried to regain control. "Now wait a minute. Sarah, you can't just come in here and..." "That's Colonel Morrison, Mr. Vice President," James cut in sharply. "And she absolutely can. In fact, she's the only one who can approve this contract." I laid out the terms: strict protocols, complete system overhaul, and regular audits by my team. The price tag made several board members wince. But they knew, as we did, that they had no choice. "If you choose not to comply," I added, "we'll be forced to classify Anderson Global as a security risk. That would mean the immediate termination of all government contracts." My father's jaw clenched. He knew what that would mean: the end of Anderson Global as they knew it. "The choice is yours," I concluded. "You have 24 hours to decide." As the board members filed out, my father remained seated, staring at me as if seeing a stranger. Michael lingered by the door, his earlier arrogance replaced by shock. "All this time," my father finally said, "you were..." "A colonel? Head of cyber operations? The person holding your company's future in my hands." I smiled slightly. "Yes. All those things you thought I'd never be. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? Or would you have dismissed it like everything else I've done?" Michael stepped forward. "Sis, I didn't know." "Clearly," I cut him off. "By the way, that entry-level position you offered? I make 3 times your salary, and that's just my base pay." I gathered my documents, preparing to leave. My father stood up suddenly. "Sir, wait. Perhaps we could discuss this as family." I turned back, meeting his eyes. "Family? Last night you said I'd never be anything. That I was wasting my potential. Well, this is my potential, Dad. This is who I am. And right now, I'm not your daughter. I'm a colonel doing her job." James appeared at the door. "Ready to go, Colonel? The Joint Chiefs are waiting for our briefing." "Joint Chiefs?" Michael whispered. "Yes, I replied. Turns out pushing papers in a military office can lead somewhere after all. Later that evening, my phone was flooded with messages. My mother, suddenly proud of her military daughter. Aunt Patricia, apologizing for her remarks. Cousins wanting to know if I could help their kids join the Air Force. I ignored them all and poured myself a glass of wine, enjoying the view from my penthouse. The same penthouse my family thought I couldn't afford on a soldier's salary. A week later, Anderson Global signed the contract, the largest in their history. The board had quietly voted to promote someone else to my father's position, suggesting he take an early retirement. Michael's department was first in line for security audits. I didn't attend the contract signing ceremony. Instead, I was in Washington briefing Congress on emerging cyber threats. My father sent an email trying to explain, to apologize, to understand. I was wrong, he wrote. You've become something I never imagined. I finally replied with 2 sentences. I didn't become something, Dad. I always was something. You just couldn't see it. 2 months later, I received another promotion. The youngest brigadier general in Air Force history. The ceremony was attended by senators, military leaders, and dignitaries from around the world. My family sat in the back row, watching as their fallback option daughter received her star. My mother cried. My father looked shell-shocked. Michael actually saluted, though he did it completely wrong. That evening at the reception, a young lieutenant approached me. General Morrison, your speech about following your own path despite what others think. It really hit home. My family doesn't support my service either. I smiled, remembering that photo of me at 18 standing proud while my family frowned. Let me tell you a story, I said. It starts with a family dinner where they told me I'd never be anything. The lieutenant listened intently as I shared my journey. Around us, the reception continued, my new world of generals, politicians, and real power brokers. Through the window, I could see my family huddled together at their table, still looking out of place in this world they'd never understood. Sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. Sometimes it's about proving yourself right. And sometimes, just sometimes, the path everyone tells you to avoid is exactly the one you're meant to take. I touched the general's star on my shoulder, remembering all the nights I'd stayed up studying while Michael partied, all the missions I'd completed while my family attended charity galas, all the promotions I'd earned while they mocked my choices. My father had always said the Morrison name meant something in this city. He was right. But now it meant something entirely different, something he never expected, something he couldn't control, something that had nothing to do with corporate success or family legacy. It meant excellence. It meant service. It meant proving that sometimes the highest achievements come from daring to disappoint